Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be going over a lifted Chevy Trail Boss. But first and foremost, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry Miller Chevy here in Provo for giving me some time with this Trail Boss. Check out their inventory in the link below. Let's get into the video. Under the hood of the Trail Boss, we have a naturally aspirated 5.3 liter V8 that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Power outputs are 355 horsepower and then 383 pound-feet of torque. Now let's go over the front end of this particular Trail Boss. So like with all the other Trail Bosses, you just have the standard Chevy hood with the Z71 logo there on the side, and then you do get the full LED lights with the LED accent light, full blacked out front grille with the blacked out Chevy bow tie, and then the bumper down below with the parking sensors, and then you do get the red tow hooks. But obviously this one is a lot taller because of the lift. Now let's go over the tire and wheel setup. So we've got 35s wrapped around 20-inch wheels in the front and over in the rear. Obviously we've got these aggressive off-road tires which look absolutely fantastic with the Trail Boss. And then this is lifted. It's a 5-inch lift from BDS. You guys can see the whole setup right here and just down below. Looks really good just from an aesthetic perspective. And then you guys can see there's a ton of tread left there on the tires. And then notice you got the mud flaps in the front and over in the rear. And then here is your full side view, and notice how they did like the bullet thing for the antenna instead of doing the whole antenna. But yeah, that's everything for the side. Now let's go over the rear of the Trail Boss. So first off, payload capacity is 1,692 pounds. And then notice that you've got the covering here on the bed, and then we do have a liner for the rest of the bed. We do have the LED lights here on the back, and then we do have a full power outlet as well, just down below. And other than that, it's everything for the bed. And then lifting up the tailgate, it's very light and easy to get into place. Now here's the rear of this Trail Boss. Notice that again the Chevrolet logo has been blacked out, so have the bumpers, and then you have these squished exhaust tips there at the bottom portion with parking sensors on the bumper, and then you do have the little steps here which are significantly higher because of the lift and the tires. But other than that, here's your full back view. Ooh, we've got Fox shocks here in the rear, and then you can see the leaf springs and all that kind of stuff, and just thought I'd show you. Now here's the interior on this Trail Boss. It has the standard interior, so you've got the leather padding here with the wood trim that goes across, and then you've got the full leather seats here with the storage cubbies there just in the back portion, and then you do have the extra storage underneath the seats, and then you have the rubber coverings over the whole floor. And then notice that we've got the USBs with the 12 volts, some cup holders, all that kind of stuff. And I do want to mention that it's pretty high. I mean, like, it's just a little bit above my knee, just where you put your foot, which is crazy, but that's all for the back. Now here's a door panel in the front. So again, you've got all of the leather trim here with the wood trim that goes across. You've got our window controls, your door lock and unlock, and then we have the speaker for the Bose sound system. And then here are the seats at the front. So again, you've got the same full leather seats right here, and then notice you've got the adjustments on the side of the seat. Pedal layout just down below. We've got our parking brake just up above. Light controls right here. That's for the fog lights. That's the cargo light. And then our drive line select. So you've got your auto, your 2-wheel high, your 4-wheel high, and then your 4-wheel low. And then we've got our drive mode select with the towing selection. And there's one more look before we pop in. So I'm going to go over the interior as quick as possible so we can get right to the driving. But let's just give a quick refresher here. So we've got all the leather on the steering wheel. You've got your voice command, phone controls, heated steering wheel button, and then you've got your cruise control on the one side. Little windshield wiper stock, and then it does have a column shifter for that 8-speed automatic. And then you guys remember you had the tow mode and the drive mode. Tow mode pops up as a little trailer there at the bottom of the screen, and then you've got the drive mode select. So that basically just throws you into the sport mode. So you really just have tow mode, normal mode, and sport mode. And then notice that this truck has 17,000 miles on it. And then the other thing to mention is the backup camera. Obviously a lift can change that a little bit, but notice that just as easy to see out of. The trajectory lines aren't perfect because this does have some negative offset on the tires, but it's close enough. And then you do get Chevy's infotainment system, which is very responsive in terms of the touch response time. They've had this since 2019. You guys know I love this screen. I had it in my ZL1 1LE, and yeah, just absolutely love the functionality on it. Radio controls down below, dual zone climate, and then you've got your hill descent control. This does just have heated seats, no air conditioned seats, and then you can drop down the tailgate here from the interior. Trailer brake controls, and you've got kind of the storage space right here. Couple cup holders, Corvette keys. If you haven't seen the Z06 review, you should probably go watch it because that car was awesome. Then we have the center console here. Notice you've got decent storage space inside of it. Dual glove box, and then this one doesn't have a sunroof or anything like that, so it just has like the standard roof. And then notice you do have a power sliding window, and then we have this as the mirror dimmer situation. But let's take it out and see how it drives. Let's talk about visibility here in this Lift Trail Boss before we set off. So first off, visibility of the hood is just like any other Chevy. You are higher up off the ground. That's really the only difference. And then notice you've got good visibility through both of the mirrors. And then here's throughout the rest of the rear. And let's set off. We are setting off here in this lifted Chevy 1500 Trail Boss. And this is a pretty interesting build. Obviously the Trail Boss is the off-road package. And so when you lift one, it does add a little bit to the off-road capability. Now this one does have 20-inch wheels, which are not the best for off-roading. They do look a lot better than smaller wheels. But if you really wanted this to be a hardcore off-road build, then what you could do is have these 20s for like your street driving, and then you could get a set of 17s or 18s and throw like 37s on those, and that could be like your off-road kind of tire and wheel setup for this truck. But initially setting off, it's actually really smooth. I thought this would be kind of just bumping all over the place because of the lift, but it actually is relatively smooth. I'm very surprised. It does feel a little bit different than stock, but it's actually not as different as I expected it to feel compared to a stock Trail Boss. We're going to get up and get our acceleration here at the lift and see if this 5.3 can handle it. So does it feel slower than a stock Trail Boss with a 5.3? Slightly. But it's not a huge difference. It's not nearly as big as what I expected, and the 5.3 does have enough power to carry this lift and these tires, so that is not an issue whatsoever. And the next thing I want to talk about is actually the handling with the truck. Obviously when you lift it, you are going to get a little bit more body roll compared to a stock truck, but this truck actually still has really good turn-in, like you guys can see right here coming in. Yeah, it actually handles really well. I'm very pleasantly surprised by that. So on the off-road, this would be good just to kind of bomb down a trail and have a little bit of fun with. Again, 17 or 18-inch wheels with 37s. That's just my personal recommendation. If you want to take this truck off-road with the current 20s, you can. It just won't be as comfortable. It'll kind of be a little bit rougher than if you had a little bit less wheel, a little bit more tire. But aside from all of that, the steering doesn't feel too weird or anything like that. Again, it feels pretty normal. They did a really good job on this specific truck with the lift and with the whole setup. And this part of the road's really bumpy. Yeah, and it just shows how good this setup is. Yeah, so far this truck was built right. That's the best thing for me to say, is it was definitely built right. Now just kind of driving around here in traffic a little bit, it's actually really easy to keep this truck in the lane. Like, even though it has some negative offset, it is not an issue whatsoever in terms of the maneuverability or anything like that. Again, it just does a really good job. And I expected the turn-in to be worse. Like, I'm actually very pleasantly surprised with the setup on this particular Trail Boss. And taking another turn here, and that was in the sport driving mode. Yeah, it does a really good job. So let's get into setting things up with this particular Trail Boss and kind of what I think about this whole setup and all that. So first off, from an exterior aesthetics perspective, I think it's a really good looking truck on the outside. The lift just makes this thing look so beautiful. Like, it is really good looking. And then from a interior practicality standpoint, it is a little bit more difficult to get in and out of the truck because of the lift, so definitely take that into account. I would recommend putting like power side steps or something like that on this particular truck, but if you're young like me, jumping in and out isn't an issue whatsoever. And then from a driving perspective, drives really nice. The shocks are great. It doesn't run the driving experience whatsoever, but you do get a much nicer looking truck, and you do get a little bit more off-road capability. Again, once you switch out the tires and wheels. I know I've said that a million times, but I really just want to hit that point home. I'm hoping that people eventually start doing kind of like smaller wheels and bigger tires on these trucks when they lift them, instead of doing these massive wheels with the off-road tires, because I know this looks cooler, it's just not as functional. Okay, that's all I'm trying to say here. But yeah, overall this build, great job whoever did the lift and everything on this. And if you're looking for a lifted Chevy Trail Boss, Chevy in Provo has one. This one looks fantastic, it drives fantastic, and it's got 2 thumbs up for me. Now let's get some things up for our video on this lifted Chevy Trail Boss. And again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry H. Miller Chevy here in Provo for giving me some time with the Trail Boss. Check out their inventory in the link below. I'll see all of you in the next video.